I arrive at my sister Emma's wedding reception wearing my best suit. I approach the reception desk where two staff members hold clipboards with the guest list. I smile and give my name, Alan Brennan. They scan the list, flip pages, exchange confused glances. I'm sorry, sir, but your name isn't on the list. My stomach drops. I spot my mother Carol across the lobby. I approach her. Mom, there's been a mistake. My name isn't. She cuts me off with a cold smirk. Did you really think you were invited? Strangers aren't allowed here. The words hit like ice water. I take a slow breath, keeping my voice steady. Then I'll live like a stranger. I turn and walk toward the exit, my footsteps echoing on marble floors. Behind me, I hear the ceremony music beginning. I pull out my phone in the parking lot and dial my attorney. David, execute everything. Now. I sit in my car, hands shaking with controlled rage. My attorney David answers on the second ring. Alan? You sound upset. What's happening? Execute the plan. All of it. Right now. There's a pause. Are you absolutely certain? Once we start this, there's no going back. I'm standing in the parking lot of the Grand Oakmont Hotel. I just got told by my own mother that I'm not invited to my sister's wedding. That strangers aren't allowed. After everything I've done for them, David. After everything. All right. Give me 20 minutes. I'll send the notices electronically and by courier. All automatic transfers canceled. Loan recall notices sent. Property notices filed. Trust frozen. Everything's in motion. Thank you. Alan, are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I end the call and sit there, staring at the hotel entrance. Through the glass doors, I can see guests in formal attire walking toward the ceremony hall. Inside that building, my mother is probably taking her seat. My sister is probably adjusting her veil, and neither of them wants me there. I start the engine and drive. Not home, not yet. I just drive through the city, letting the reality sink in. I'm 32 years old, a successful tech security consultant earning $230,000 a year. I own a condo in a good neighborhood. I drive a decent car. By any measure, I've made it. But my family has never seen it that way. My father died when I was 17. Car accident on Highway 40. He was driving home from a business trip. I was in the passenger seat. We were talking about college applications, about my future. Then a truck crossed the median. Dad swerved. The truck hit the driver's side. Dad died instantly. I walked away with a broken arm and nightmares that lasted years. My mother never forgave me for surviving when he didn't. She never said it directly, but I felt it in every interaction after that. The way she looked at me, the way she talked to me, like I was a constant reminder of what she'd lost. My sister Emma was only 12 then. She became the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. I became the scapegoat, the one who was blamed for everything. I coped by throwing myself into school, got a full scholarship to State University, worked 3 part-time jobs to cover living expenses so I wouldn't have to ask my mother for money, graduated with honors in computer science, got hired by a tech firm in the city, worked my way up, started my own consulting business with my partner Marcus 5 years ago, built something real, and through it all, I supported my family. Not because they asked nicely. They didn't ask at all. They just expected it. My mother's mortgage was underwater after the real estate crash. I paid it off. $85,000 over 3 years. She never thanked me, just complained that I didn't visit more often. Emma went to an expensive private college because she wanted the experience. Came out with $60,000 in student loans. I paid them off in 2 years. She said it was the least I could do since I made so much money, and she was struggling as a teacher. I bought them both cars, registered in my name because my credit was better, but I let them use the vehicles. My mother's sedan and Emma's compact SUV, both leased through my account. They thought the dealership gave them a special deal. They had no idea I was making the payments. Medical bills, credit card debt, utility payments when things got tight. Over 10 years, I gave my family more than $350,000, not loans, gifts. I never expected repayment. I just wanted to help. I wanted them to be proud of me. I wanted my mother to look at me the way she looked at Emma. It never happened. No matter what I did, I was still the son who survived the accident. I was still the one who wasn't quite good enough. My career was wrong because I didn't go into medicine or law. My lifestyle was wrong because I was still single at 32 instead of married with kids. My priorities were wrong because I focused on work instead of family. 8 months ago, Emma got engaged to Brad. He's from a wealthy Connecticut family, works at a prestigious law firm downtown. My mother was over the moon. Finally, Emma was marrying well. Finally, our family would be connected to the right kind of people. They started planning an elaborate wedding. My mother asked if I could contribute. I didn't hesitate. I set up a trust fund through my attorney. $45,000 specifically for the wedding expenses. Venue, catering, flowers, photographer. I wanted Emma to have a beautiful day. I assumed I'd be in the wedding party. Best man, maybe. At least a groomsman. But the weeks went by, and Emma never asked. I finally brought it up. She got uncomfortable. Said Brad had a lot of friends from law school. His brother was best man. There wasn't really space. Fine. I understood. But I'd still be at the wedding, right? Another uncomfortable pause. She said, of course, she'd make sure I got an invitation. The invitation never came. I waited. 1 month before the wedding, I called Emma. She said she'd been meaning to talk to me. Mom thought it might be awkward having me there. Brad's family was very traditional, very image-conscious. They wanted a certain aesthetic for the wedding photos and guest list. She was sorry, but maybe it was better if I sat this one out. I was stunned. I asked what I'd done wrong. Emma said I hadn't done anything wrong. It was just complicated. Mom had explained to Brad's parents that I was the difficult child, the one who'd never quite fit in with the family. Having me at the wedding might raise questions. It was easier for everyone if I wasn't there. That conversation happened 3 weeks ago. I told Emma I was hurt. She said she understood, but her hands were tied. This was her wedding day, and she had to keep Mom happy. I told her I'd contributed $45,000 to pay for this wedding. She said I was her brother, and brothers helped their sisters. It wasn't about the money. After that call, I sat in my condo for hours. I thought about everything. The years of emotional abuse disguised as family dynamics, the financial support I'd given freely, expecting nothing but basic respect in return. The way I'd bent over backwards to earn love from people who saw me as an obligation at best, a burden at worst. I called David the next day. He's been my attorney for 6 years, handling business contracts and personal matters. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. Then he said, "Alan, I'm going to be honest with you. What you're describing is financial and emotional abuse. You've been manipulated for years. If you want to extract yourself from this situation, I can help. But it's going to be nuclear." I told him to prepare everything but not to execute until I gave the word. I'd give them one last chance. If they came through, if they showed me basic human decency, I'd let it go. I'd keep supporting them and try to rebuild something. I showed up at the wedding today as that last test. I wanted to believe Emma would see me, run over, hug me, tell me there was a mistake, and of course I was invited. I wanted to believe my mother would apologize for the misunderstanding. Instead, I got exactly what I should have expected. Confirmation that to them, I'm nothing, a stranger, someone who doesn't belong. So I made the call. Inside that hotel, my mother's phone should be ringing right about now. The venue manager discovering that the $45,000 payment just bounced. The trust fund I set up is frozen by court order. My attorney included a clause that I could revoke the funds if necessary. It's necessary. All the automatic transfers I set up to my mother's bank account? Canceled as of today. The monthly $3,000 she's been receiving for the past 5 years? Gone. She never asked where it came from. She just spent it. The loans I gave them, all documented with promissory notes they signed without reading carefully, officially called in. They have 30 days to repay. The house my mother lives in? I bought it 5 years ago when she was facing foreclosure. I paid cash, $140,000. Put the title in my name because my attorney advised it for tax purposes. Let her live there rent-free. I just sent her a 30-day eviction notice. The cars they drive? Leased in my name. Repossession notices sent. They have 48 hours to return the vehicles. Everything I've quietly held together for years? I just released it all at once. The structure collapses without me holding it up, and I want them to feel exactly what I've been feeling. Excluded, unwanted, erased. My phone rings. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call. Another. I silence the phone and keep driving. By the time I get home 2 hours later, I have 15 missed calls and 23 text messages. I delete them all without reading. I pour myself a drink, sit on my balcony, and watch the sunset over the city. For the first time in 10 years, I feel light, free. The weight of obligation, of trying to earn love from people who will never give it, lifts off my shoulders. I know chaos is erupting at that hotel. I know my mother is panicking. I know Emma's perfect day is falling apart, and I feel no guilt, only relief. They taught me that strangers aren't allowed. So I'll live like a stranger. And strangers don't bail out families who reject them. I spend the weekend with my phone turned off. Saturday evening and all day Sunday, I stay in my condo. I cook meals. I watch movies. I sleep better than I have in months. There's a peace in knowing I've finally drawn a line. Monday, I go to work as usual. My business partner Marcus asks if I had a good weekend. I tell him it was productive. Tuesday afternoon, I finally turn my phone back on. It explodes with notifications. 53 missed calls, 37 voicemails, 89 text messages. I sit down and start going through them. The voicemails are chaos. My mother screaming, Emma crying, cousin Jennifer demanding to know what's wrong with me, Uncle Mark calling me selfish, Aunt Patricia saying I should be ashamed. I delete most of them without listening to the end. A few I save. Evidence, if I need it. The text messages are worse. Emma sent 20 in a row. The first few are confused. Alan, where are you? The venue says the payment bounced. Call me. Then angry. Are you serious right now? On my wedding day? Then hysterical. You've ruined everything. I hate you. My mother's texts are cold and calculated. I always knew you were spiteful. Your father would be ashamed. You've shown your true colors. Don't bother coming around anymore. You're dead to me. I'm about to put the phone down when it rings. Emma. I consider not answering. But I'm curious. I want to hear what she has to say now that the dust has settled. Hello, Emma. How could you do this to me? Her voice is raw from crying. On my wedding day? How could you? You uninvited me from your wedding. I respected your wishes. By sabotaging the payment? By humiliating me in front of Brad's entire family? I froze access to money that was mine. Money I was giving as a gift. You made it clear, I'm not family, so I stopped treating you like family. That's insane. You're my brother. Am I? Because your mother told me strangers aren't allowed at the wedding. So which is it, Emma? Am I your brother, or am I a stranger? Silence on the other end, then sobbing. It wasn't my idea to exclude you. It was Mom's, and you went along with it. You chose her over me. You chose a nice aesthetic over your own brother. So I'm choosing myself. How does it feel? Alan, please. The venue manager came into the ceremony, right during the vows. Brad's parents were mortified. We had to stop everything while Mom tried to figure out what happened. She kept calling you. You never answered. Finally, Brad's father paid to cover the cost just to avoid embarrassment. But everyone knew something was wrong. The reception was awful. People were whispering. Brad's mother kept giving us these looks like we were con artists. Sounds difficult. You don't even care, do you? Why should I? You didn't care about me when you agreed to exclude me. You didn't care about the $45,000 I put up for your wedding. You didn't care about anything I've done for you over the years. So no, Emma. I don't care that your party was uncomfortable. I can't believe you're being this cruel. I learned from the best. I hang up before she can respond. My hands are shaking. Not from anger, from adrenaline. I've never stood up to my family like this. I've never pushed back. It feels terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. 10 minutes later, Emma calls back. I almost don't answer, but something in me wants to hear more, wants to understand if there's any remorse, any understanding of what they've done. Alan. Her voice is different now, smaller, scared. There's something else. Brad wants to postpone the marriage. My stomach tightens despite myself. What do you mean, postpone? We had the ceremony. We said the vows, but we haven't signed the marriage license yet. Brad wants to wait. He says he needs time to think. Why? Because of what happened. Because his parents are asking questions. They thought my family was comfortable, well off. Mom kind of implied we were. But then this happened, and Brad started asking more questions. He found out the house is in your name, the cars are leased by you, that we don't actually have any assets. He feels like he was deceived. You were deceiving him. We weren't. We just didn't explain everything. Emma, you let him believe you came from money when your family is financially dependent on the brother you excluded from the wedding. That's deception. His family is old money. They value honesty above everything. They're furious. They think we're social climbers who trapped their son. Brad is trying to defend us, but he's also hurt. He thought he knew me. Now he's not sure. That's not my problem. It is your problem. You did this. If you'd just been normal, if you just helped like you always do, none of this would have happened. If you just invited me to your wedding like a normal sister, none of this would have happened. I made a mistake. Is that what you want to hear? I made a mistake. I should have stood up to Mom. I should have insisted you be there. But I didn't, and I'm sorry. Please, Alan, please don't destroy my marriage before it even starts. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just no longer holding things together for people who don't appreciate it. Your relationship with Brad is between you and him. If it can't survive honesty about your financial situation, maybe it's not as strong as you thought. You sound just like Mom. Cold, calculating. That hits harder than I expect. Don't ever compare me to her. Then stop acting like her. She's vindictive and punishing, and you're doing the exact same thing. No, Emma. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. Mom weaponizes everything. I'm just stopping the flow of unearned support to people who treat me like garbage. I hang up again. This time I block her number. I can't keep having these conversations. They drain me. Over the next few days, the calls spread to extended family. People I haven't spoken to in months suddenly have opinions about my choices. Cousin Jennifer calls to tell me I'm toxic. Uncle Mark leaves a voicemail saying I've always been troubled and this proves it. Aunt Patricia sends a long text about family obligations and forgiveness. None of them know the full story. My mother has crafted a narrative. According to her version, I'm the successful but selfish son who refused to help with the wedding out of petty jealousy. I sabotaged my own sister's special day because I couldn't stand to see her happy. I've always been resentful, always been difficult, always been a problem. No one asks for my side. No one questions why a loving brother would suddenly turn cruel. They just accept my mother's story because it fits what they want to believe. I'm the easy villain, the black sheep, who finally showed his true colors. Cousin Jennifer posts on social media. Doesn't name me directly but tags me. Some people can't handle other people's happiness. They'll tear down anything beautiful out of spite. Cut toxic people out of your life, even if they're family. The post gets hundreds of likes. Comments flood in supporting her, calling out unnamed toxic family members. I could respond. I could tell the truth. But what's the point? They've already decided who I am. By Wednesday, I've been removed from every family group chat, blocked from the family Facebook page, uninvited from upcoming family events. My mother has successfully erased me while painting herself as the victim of an ungrateful son. I sit in my condo Wednesday evening and realize I'm completely alone. No family, no support system, just me and the consequences of finally standing up for myself. Part of me wonders if I made a mistake. If I should have just swallowed my pride, shown up to the wedding anyway, kept being the silent supporter who asks nothing in return. But then I remember my mother's smirk. Did you really think you were invited? Strangers aren't allowed, and I know I did the right thing. It hurts, but it's right. Friday afternoon, I'm in a meeting with a client at my office downtown. We're on the 14th floor of a modern glass tower, discussing security protocols for their network. My phone buzzes. I ignore it. It buzzes again, and again. Finally, I excuse myself and check. 3 missed calls from building security. A text. Mr. Brennan, you need to come to the lobby. Situation developing. I apologize to my client and head downstairs. The elevator ride feels like forever. When the doors open, I hear shouting before I see anything. My mother's voice. Loud. Theatrical. I just want to talk to my son. Is that so wrong? I step into the lobby. My mother is there with Emma, Aunt Patricia, Uncle Mark, and Cousin Jennifer. 5 of them. They're standing near the security desk, arguing with 2 guards who look professionally uncomfortable. My mother is crying. Emma is showing photos on her phone to anyone who will look. Wedding photos. That's him. Jennifer points at me. That's the one who ruined her wedding. Every person in the lobby turns to look. Clients. Employees from other companies in the building. The security guards. My business partner Marcus is walking through the lobby, returning from lunch. He stops and stares. I walk toward the group slowly. What are you doing here? We need to talk to you. My mother's tears vanish instantly, replaced by anger. You can't ignore us forever. I'm at work. This is completely inappropriate. Inappropriate? You want to talk about inappropriate? Uncle Mark steps forward. Sabotaging your own sister's wedding is inappropriate. Marcus approaches. Alan, what's going on? My mother immediately pivots. Are you his supervisor? You should know what kind of person he is. She launches into her prepared speech. How I ruined Emma's wedding. How I've always been troubled and resentful. How the family has tried to help me, but I reject every kindness. Emma shows Marcus her phone. Look at these photos. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. He destroyed it. He's vindictive and cruel, and you should know that before you trust him with anything important. I try to pull Marcus aside. This isn't what it looks like. They're here because I stopped giving them money. That's all this is about. But Marcus looks uncomfortable. He's 60 years old, traditional values, family-oriented. The sight of a crying mother and a devastated bride is powerful. Alan, let's talk in your office. I'm in the middle of a client meeting. I'll handle the client. Go upstairs. I'll be there in a minute. The security guards escort my family out of the building. They're shouting threats as they leave. Jennifer yells something about posting this online. Aunt Patricia says I'll regret treating my mother this way. Emma just sobs dramatically. I go back upstairs, apologize to my client, and reschedule. Then I wait in my office for Marcus. He arrives 20 minutes later, looking troubled. Want to tell me what that was about? I explain. The wedding, the exclusion, the years of financial support, the decision to stop. Marcus listens without interrupting. When I finish, he leans back in his chair. Alan, I'm not going to tell you how to handle your family, but I need to know this isn't going to be a recurring problem. Our clients expect professionalism. What just happened downstairs? People saw that. People talk. I understand. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. How? They know where you work. What's to stop them from coming back? I'll get a restraining order if necessary. Marcus nods slowly. Look, I believe your side of the story, but family stuff is complicated. Maybe you should try to reconcile. Sit down, talk it out. Whatever happened, they're still your family. They uninvited me from my sister's wedding and called me a stranger to my face. That's harsh. I get it. But maybe there's a way to fix this without all this drama. I realize Marcus is judging me. Subtly, but it's there. The assumption that family conflict must be partly my fault. That I should be the bigger person. That successful people don't have mothers screaming in their office lobbies. Monday morning, I get called to a meeting with the senior partners. Marcus is there. So is our biggest client liaison, Mr. Harrison. Harrison is old school. Built his career on reputation and relationships. Alan, we need to discuss Friday's incident. I apologize for that. It won't happen again. I hope not. But we've had some developments over the weekend. Peterson Tech has decided not to renew their contract with us. My stomach drops. Peterson Tech is a $90,000 annual contract. It's one of our biggest clients. Did they give a reason? Harrison looks uncomfortable. They heard about the lobby incident. Then someone on their team looked you up online, found some social media posts about you, things your cousin posted. They don't want to be associated with drama. They value stability. Those posts are lies. My family is retaliating because I stopped giving them money. That may be true, but perception matters. Clients don't want their security consultant to have unstable family situations. They want someone reliable, professional, drama-free. Marcus adds, "We're not blaming you, Alan, but this is affecting the business. We need to figure out how to move forward. I'm working on getting a restraining order. That should prevent any more incidents." Harrison shakes his head. That might make things worse. Local news sometimes covers restraining order hearings. If your family goes to the media, frames this as son abandoning elderly mother, our name gets dragged into it. So what do you want me to do? Honestly, reconcile with your family, or at least make peace. We can't have this hanging over the business. I leave the meeting feeling trapped. My family has successfully weaponized my workplace against me. By showing up, by causing a scene, they've made me look unstable. And now my professional reputation is at risk. Tuesday, Marcus pulls me aside. "Alan, I've been thinking. Maybe you should take some time off. Let things cool down. Come back when your family situation is resolved." "Are you firing me?" "No. I'm suggesting a voluntary leave. Couple months. Figure out your personal life. Then come back fresh." "I need to work, Marcus. I have bills to pay." "I know. But the business needs stability right now. If Peterson Tech left over this, other clients might too. We can't afford that." I realize what's happening. My partner is distancing himself from me, protecting the business at my expense. Wednesday, I'm served with papers at my office. Another humiliation. The receptionist brings them to my desk. Emma has filed for a restraining order. I read through the petition. It claims I threatened her, that I made her fear for her safety, that my erratic behavior suggests I might harm her or my mother. It's complete fiction. But there's a hearing scheduled for next Tuesday. I immediately call David, my attorney. He reviews the filing remotely. "This is a strategic move, Alan. They're painting you as dangerous. If the judge grants this, you'll be barred from going near any family member. It makes you look like an abuser." "I never threatened anyone. I have recordings of our phone calls." "Good. Bring everything to the hearing. But I'll be honest, these orders are easy to get, especially when the petitioner is a crying bride claiming her brother is unstable. Judges err on the side of caution." The following Tuesday, I take a half day from work and go to the courthouse with David. Emma is there with an attorney. Expensive suit, confident demeanor, someone Brad connected her with. I'm using David, who's competent but primarily handles business law, not family matters. The hearing is brief. Emma takes the stand first. She cries. Talks about being terrified of me. Claims my behavior has been escalating for years. The wedding sabotage was just the latest incident. She provides no specific threats, just vague statements about me being angry and unpredictable. David cross-examines. "Can you name one specific threat your brother made?" "He told me I'd regret excluding him." "When did he say that?" "On the phone after the wedding." "And did he specify what you'd regret? Did he threaten violence?" "He didn't have to. I could hear it in his voice." The judge is an older woman, probably late 50s. She seems sympathetic to Emma. I testify next. Explain that I never threatened anyone, that I simply stopped financial support after being excluded from the wedding. David plays a recording of my phone call with Emma. Nothing threatening in it, just me explaining my boundaries. But the judge isn't convinced. "Mr. Brennan, I understand there's a dispute here, but Miss Brennan seems genuinely frightened. In the interest of safety, I'm going to grant a temporary restraining order. You must stay 500 feet away from Miss Brennan, your mother Carol, and the family residence. Order is valid for 1 year, unless modified. Do you own any firearms? No, Your Honor. Good. Order is entered. Next case. That's it. 5 minutes, and I'm legally branded as a potential threat. David was right. Strategic move to make me look dangerous. Now, when people Google my name, they might find this. Another weapon my family is using against me. That evening, I'm reviewing my finances, and I discover something I'd completely forgotten about. Years ago, my mother convinced me to add her as an authorized user on one of my credit cards. Just for emergencies, she said. I'd meant to remove her after a few months, but never got around to it. I checked the account. $15,000 charged in the past week. Hotels, restaurants, attorney fees, shopping. She's been on a spending spree. I call the credit card company immediately. I need to report unauthorized charges. What's the nature of the unauthorized use? My mother is an authorized user, but she's charging things I didn't approve. I'm sorry, sir, but if she's listed as an authorized user, those charges are considered authorized. You'd need to remove her from the account to prevent future charges. Remove her immediately, of course, but the existing charges are still your responsibility. I hang up, furious at myself for not thinking of this sooner. She's using my own credit to fund the war against me. Another $15,000 I'll have to pay off. My phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Alan Brennan? Yes? This is Sandra with Channel 7 News. We're doing a story about family estrangement and elder financial abuse. Your mother reached out to us. We'd love to get your side of the story. I hang up immediately. They're going to the media, painting me as the abuser. This is spiraling completely out of control. 2 months pass. October turns to November. The leaves change and fall. I'm living in a nightmare that keeps getting worse. Friday morning, I receive a certified letter at my office. I sign for it with a sense of dread. Inside is a civil complaint. My mother and Emma are suing me. The lawsuit alleges financial elder abuse, coercion, and fraud. I read through the legal language, my coffee going cold beside me. According to the complaint, I manipulated my mother into signing over the deed to her house. I forced loans on family members they didn't understand or agree to. I emotionally abused them for years, using money as a tool of control. I abandoned my mother in her time of need, leaving her destitute and vulnerable. They're seeking $500,000 in damages, plus recovery of the house, the cars, and all assets, plus attorney fees, plus punitive damages for my malicious conduct. I immediately call David. He tells me to come to his office with all my documentation. I spend the weekend there, going through boxes of files, every bank transfer, every loan agreement, every email and text message. We build a defense, but David looks worried. Alan, this is serious. Financial elder abuse is a criminal matter in this state. They're not just suing civilly. If they can make this stick, you could face criminal charges. Everything was legitimate. I have documentation for all of it. Do you have proof the property transfer was explained to your mother? That she understood what she was signing? It was done through a title company. Standard procedures. Everything was notarized. Good. We'll need the original documents. And Alan, there's something else. They have an attorney helping them. Brad, your sister's fiancé. He's not the attorney of record, but he's clearly advising them. Emma told me Brad wouldn't marry her because she lied to him. Apparently they reconciled. Or he's helping out of guilt. Either way, he works at Whitmore and Associates, one of the best firms in the state. He specializes in elder law. Their complaint is too well crafted to be from a general practice attorney. They have serious legal help. What's our strategy? Present the truth. Show that everything you did was documented and legal. Show the pattern of financial support, not abuse. But Alan, I'll be honest, this isn't my specialty. You might want to consider hiring a litigator. How much would that cost? Probably $60,000 as a retainer, more if it goes to trial. I don't have $60,000 lying around. My savings have been depleted by legal fees from the restraining order hearing, by the $15,000 my mother charged to my credit card, by general cost of living. I tell David to handle it. He's competent. I'll make it work. 2 weeks later, emergency hearing. I sit in a courtroom across from my mother and Emma. They look vulnerable, fragile. My mother has aged 10 years in 2 months. Emma's eyes are red from crying. Their attorney, a sharp woman in her 40s, argues that I'm disposing of assets to avoid judgment. She presents evidence, emails that allegedly show me threatening to destroy the family, bank records showing large transfers, statements from Uncle Mark, Aunt Patricia, and Jennifer claiming they witnessed me manipulating my mother, heard me threatening her. David argues back. Everything I did was documented. The emails are taken out of context. The witnesses are biased family members. But the judge, a stern man in his 60s, looks concerned. Mr. Brennan, are you currently in possession of the property located at 247 Maple Street? I own that property, yes. My mother has been living there rent-free for the past 5 years. But the deed is in your name? Yes, Your Honor. I purchased it to help my mother avoid foreclosure. It was a gift, essentially. I let her live there without paying rent or mortgage. And did she understand that the title would be in your name permanently? It was explained by the title company during the transaction. Does your mother have any documentation showing she understood this arrangement? I don't know what documentation she has. The judge looks at my mother. She looks small and confused in her seat. Perfect victim. I'm troubled by this, Mr. Brennan. I'm going to grant a temporary asset freeze. All of your bank accounts, investment accounts, and credit cards will be frozen pending a full investigation. We need a forensic accounting to determine exactly what happened here. Your Honor, I need access to my accounts to live. You'll be able to petition for basic living expenses, but substantial assets will be frozen until we sort this out. Trial is set for 4 months from today, January 15th. I leave the courthouse in shock. David tries to be reassuring, but I barely hear him. All my accounts frozen, my credit cards stopped, my investments locked. I have maybe $3,000 cash in my wallet. That's it. Over the next week, I learn what frozen assets really means. My mortgage payment bounces. My condo association sends a warning. My car lease payment fails. My phone bill, my utilities, everything on autopay stops working. I move out of my condo. Can't pay the mortgage. The bank will foreclose eventually anyway. I find a studio apartment in a rough neighborhood. $600 a month, cash only. The landlord barely asks questions. I sell my furniture for cash. My expensive TV, my nice couch, my bed frame. Everything goes for whatever I can get. I cancel my cell phone plan and get a prepaid phone. $35 a month. I walk everywhere or take the bus. The car gets repossessed after 2 missed payments. I survive on rice, beans, and ramen noodles. My weight drops from 185 to 168 in 6 weeks. Marcus calls and asks to meet for coffee. I already know what's coming. We meet at a diner near my new apartment. He looks uncomfortable. Alan, I'm sorry to do this, but Harrison gave us an ultimatum. The restraining order, the lawsuit, clients asking questions. It's affecting business. We need to buy you out of the partnership. You're forcing me out? We're offering to buy your half. $50,000. I know it's less than it's worth, but it's fair given the circumstances. My half is worth at least $200,000. In normal circumstances, yes. But right now, having your name on the business is a liability. Clients are nervous. $50,000 is what we can offer. I don't have a choice. I need money desperately. Legal fees are piling up. David needs to be paid. I accept the offer. The check goes directly to David to cover what I already owe him and put him on retainer for the trial. I'm now unemployed, essentially broke, and fighting a lawsuit that could take everything else. The discovery process is brutal. Their attorney demands every document, every email, every text message from the past 15 years. I provide everything. Then I see what they've provided. Forged documents. Papers with my signature that I never signed. Dates altered on legitimate documents to make everything look suspicious. I show David. He brings in a handwriting expert, but it costs $3,000 I don't have. I borrow from a friend. The expert confirms some signatures are forged, but can't definitively prove it in a way that will hold up in court without more expensive testing. We need forensic document analysis, full paper analysis, ink dating, computer forensics if any were digitally altered. It's going to cost at least $20,000. I don't have $20,000. Trial is approaching and I'm defenseless against manufactured evidence. The deposition process is worse. Their attorney is aggressive, questions every choice I've made for 15 years. My struggles in school after Dad died become evidence of learning disabilities that affected my judgment. My career success becomes obsessive need for control through wealth. My generosity becomes manipulation tactics. Extended family members give depositions. Uncle Mark testifies that I always seemed unstable. Aunt Patricia recalls me being withdrawn at family gatherings. Jennifer says I was always resentful of Emma. Every normal behavior reframed as evidence of something sinister. I give my deposition. 5 hours of hostile questioning. Every answer twisted. David objects repeatedly, but the damage is done. They're building a case that paints me as a calculating abuser who spent years manipulating a vulnerable widow. By December, I'm working part-time at an electronics repair shop. Cash under the table, $12 an hour. I fix phones and tablets. The owner doesn't ask questions. I live on $900 a month. Rent, food, phone, bus fare, nothing else. I've lost 60 pounds. I haven't slept properly in months. I see David once a week to prepare for trial, but I can tell he's worried. Without money for expert witnesses, without resources to fight their manufactured evidence, we're going to lose. Trial starts January 15th. I'm ready to lose everything. January 15th arrives cold and gray. I stand outside the courthouse in a borrowed suit. David lent it to me because I sold all my good clothes months ago. It doesn't fit quite right. I look like what I am, a man who's been broken down to nothing. I've been living in that studio apartment for 4 months now, $600 a month plus utilities, working at the repair shop, making barely enough to survive. My weight is down to 150 pounds. I see myself in bathroom mirrors and don't recognize the person looking back. Hollow eyes, sharp cheekbones, the physical manifestation of defeat. David meets me on the courthouse steps. He's still being kind, still working for reduced rates, but I owe him $40,000 now. Money I'll never be able to pay unless I rebuild my entire life, which seems impossible given that I'm about to lose this trial. Ready? He asks. Does it matter? Alan, we're going to present the truth. That's all we can do. The truth hasn't mattered so far. We go inside. The courtroom is smaller than I expected. My mother sits at the plaintiff's table with Emma and their attorney. Mother looks frail, wearing a simple gray dress. Emma looks sad and worried. Perfect victims. I'm the villain in an expensive borrowed suit that doesn't fit. The jury files in. 12 people who will decide my fate. 6 men, 6 women, various ages. They look at me with curiosity and something else. Suspicion, maybe. They've already heard pre-trial publicity. Local news covered this case. Successful son accused of elder abuse. My face on TV, my name in papers. Presumed guilty before we even start. Opening statements begin. Their attorney is polished and compelling. She tells a story of a vulnerable widow who lost her husband tragically, a son who blamed himself for surviving the accident and channeled that guilt into control. Years of manipulation disguised as generosity. A mother who didn't realize she was being abused until her son abandoned her. A daughter whose wedding was sabotaged out of spite. A family destroyed by one man's need for power. The jury is captivated. I watch their faces. They believe it. Of course they believe it. It's a good story. And my mother looks so fragile sitting there. David's opening statement is factual. I was a generous son who supported my family financially for 10 years. They took advantage of that generosity. When they excluded me from my sister's wedding, I set boundaries. They retaliated with false accusations, but his delivery lacks emotion. The jury looks bored. Facts don't compete with a compelling narrative. The prosecution calls my mother to the stand first. She takes her time walking up, moving slowly like each step hurts. She's 62 but looks 75. She sits down, adjusts the microphone, and looks at the jury with watery eyes. Their attorney walks her through her testimony. She describes losing her husband in that accident 16 years ago. How devastating it was. How she tried to hold the family together for the sake of her children. How Alan became distant and difficult after the accident. How she tried to help him, but he pushed her away. She talks about the house. Describes how Alan convinced her to put the deed in his name. He said it was for tax purposes, that it would help me. I trusted him. He's my son. I signed the papers because he told me to. I didn't understand what it meant. I thought the house was still mine. She cries. Real tears. Maybe she even believes her own lies now. I thought he was helping me. I didn't realize he was taking everything away. And when I needed him most, when Emma was getting married, he abandoned me. He destroyed my daughter's wedding day, left me with nothing. The jury looks sympathetic. Several jurors nod. One older woman has tears in her eyes. I want to stand up and scream that it's all lies. That I gave her $350,000 over 10 years. That she never thanked me once. That she told me strangers weren't allowed at the wedding. But I sit there silent while she performs. Cross-examination. David is gentle, which is the right strategy but doesn't help. He asks about the money I gave her. She claims she didn't know about most of it. She thought some transfers were gifts, normal things a son does for his mother. She had no idea he was keeping track, planning to call them loans someday. David asks about the $3,000 per month I transferred to her account for 5 years. She says she thought it was just Alan being generous. She didn't ask where it came from. When David points out that's $180,000 over 5 years, she looks confused and says she's not good with numbers. The jury buys it. Little old widow who doesn't understand finances. Of course, she didn't realize what was happening. The manipulation continues even in court. Emma testifies next. She's composed, speaks clearly, describes me as a jealous older brother who always resented her success, says I ruined her wedding out of spite, claims I demanded repayment of alleged loans she never agreed to, says she's still not officially married because Brad's family doesn't trust them anymore. She cries, describing the wedding day, the venue manager interrupting the ceremony, the humiliation in front of Brad's family, her perfect day destroyed. I know I made mistakes. I should have insisted Alan be invited. I feel terrible about that, but I was trying to make everyone happy. I never thought he'd do something so cruel. The jury nods. They see a remorseful sister who made one mistake and paid dearly for it. They see an angry brother who took revenge way too far. David cross-examines, points out that she agreed to exclude me. Emma admits it but frames it as a momentary lapse in judgment. I was stressed about the wedding. Mom said it would be easier if Alan wasn't there. I shouldn't have listened, but that doesn't excuse what he did. Extended family testifies. Uncle Mark, Aunt Patricia, Cousin Jennifer. Each one describes me as troubled, distant, resentful. They paint a picture of someone who never fit in, who always seemed angry beneath the surface. None of them knew about the $350,000 in support because Mother never told them. So from their perspective, my story sounds like excuses from an angry man. Their forensic accountant testifies. Professional, credible, says all the right things. Points out that I kept the property deed in my name, says it's consistent with financial manipulation patterns. Notes that I made myself authorized on Mother's accounts. Says victims of financial abuse often don't realize what's happening until the abuser withdraws support. David cross-examines, but the accountant is too polished. Jury trusts experts. Another nail in my coffin. A handwriting expert testifies that the documents appear authentic. I know they're forged, but the expert says no evidence of forgery, either incompetent or paid to lie. I'll never know which. Jury believes the expert. Why wouldn't they? End of day 3. Prosecution rests their case. David pulls me aside in the hallway. People walk past us, lawyers and litigants in other cases, the machinery of justice grinding forward. Alan, I need to be honest with you. We're losing badly. The jury believes them. They have multiple witnesses, experts, and most importantly, they have sympathy. You're the successful son who looks like a bully. Everything we present sounds like excuses. So what do we do? I think you should consider settlement. What does that mean? Give them the house. Forgive all the money they owe you. Walk away with nothing. In exchange, they drop the lawsuit. No judgment against you. You start over from zero, but at least you're not buried in debt. So they win. They get everything. The house I bought, $350,000 I gave them, and they face no consequences for the lies. Yes, that's exactly what it means. But Alan, if this goes to verdict, the jury might award them the $500,000 they're asking for, plus attorney fees, plus punitive damages. You could end up owing them $700,000 or more. You'd have to declare bankruptcy. It would destroy you completely. I sit down on a courthouse bench. People stream past. Other people with their own problems, their own battles. I'm just one more person whose life is falling apart in this building. Let me think about it. Trial resumes tomorrow morning. We present our case. But I'm telling you now, it's not going to be enough. Without expert witnesses we can't afford, without resources to fight their evidence, we're going to lose. Settlement might be your best option. I go back to my studio apartment that night. Sit on the cheap mattress on the floor. Eat ramen noodles from a styrofoam cup. Think about how completely I've been destroyed. I tried to stand up for myself. I tried to set boundaries, and it cost me everything. My career, gone. My savings, gone. My home, gone. My family turned against me. My extended family believes I'm a monster. My professional reputation ruined. And now, I'm about to lose in court to people who are blatantly lying. Mother will get her house back. The house I paid $140,000 for. She'll probably sell it, keep the money, and laugh about how she got away with everything. Emma will move on with her life. Maybe marry Brad after all. And remember me as the crazy brother who went off the rails. This is complete defeat, total destruction, and I see no way out. I don't sleep that night. Just lie there staring at the ceiling, wondering if David is right. If I should just surrender, give them everything and walk away. At least then it would be over. Morning comes. I drag myself out of bed, shower in the tiny bathroom, put on the borrowed suit, walk to the courthouse because I can't afford the bus fare today. I need every dollar I have left. This is as low as I've ever been, as low as I can imagine being, and I have no idea how to climb back up. David meets me outside the courtroom. He can see I didn't sleep, can see I'm barely holding it together. We present our case today. Are you ready to testify? Does it matter? They've already won. Alan, we're not done yet. We tell the truth. Sometimes that's enough. It hasn't been so far. We go inside. The courtroom feels smaller today, suffocating. My mother and Emma are already seated. They look confident. Why wouldn't they? They're winning. David calls me to the stand. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I sit down, take a breath, tell my story. I describe my father's death, the accident, the years after when my mother blamed me for surviving, how I became the scapegoat for everything wrong in the family, how I worked multiple jobs in college to graduate debt-free, how I built a successful career despite everything. I describe wanting to help my family, paying off my mother's mortgage, $5,000, paying Emma's student loans, $60,000, buying them cars, covering medical bills and living expenses. I pull out bank records, show every transfer, $350,000 over 10 years. I explain the house. My attorney advised me to keep the title in my name for tax purposes, but my mother lived there rent-free. No mortgage, no rent. It was essentially a gift. She had full use of the property. I never asked for anything in return. I described the wedding. Being told I wasn't invited. My mother calling me a stranger. The hurt and humiliation of being excluded by my own family after years of supporting them. I didn't sabotage anything. I froze access to money that was mine. Money I was giving as a gift. When they made clear I wasn't family, I stopped treating them like family. That's called setting boundaries, not abuse. Their attorney cross-examines aggressively. If you were so generous, why did you abandon your mother when she needed you most? She uninvited me from my sister's wedding. She told me strangers weren't allowed. After 20 years of emotional abuse and 10 years of financial support, I realized I needed to protect myself. By taking away her home, it was always my home, legally. I gave her legal notice as required by law. I wasn't taking anything away. I was stopping the flow of unearned support to people who treated me terribly. You sound very angry, Mr. Brennan. I'm hurt. There's a difference. She attacks every angle. Makes my success sound like obsession. Makes my generosity sound like control. Makes my boundaries sound like cruelty. But I stay calm, factual. I don't let her bait me into looking angry or unstable. When she finishes, I step down. The jury looks uncertain now. My testimony was compelling, but is it enough to overcome the narrative they've already accepted? David calls our witness. Only one. We couldn't afford more. Defense calls Sarah Patterson to the stand. I'm confused. I don't know Sarah well. She's an older woman, maybe 65, friend of my family from church. I've met her a few times at gatherings years ago. What is she doing here? Sarah takes the stand. She's wearing a simple blue dress, has kind eyes. She looks nervous, but determined. David asks her to explain why she's here. I was at the wedding, as a guest of Emma's godmother. My friend couldn't attend, and asked me to film the ceremony on my phone for her. I was happy to do it. And what happened during the ceremony? Carol's phone kept ringing, the mother of the bride. She looked annoyed, but kept ignoring it. Finally, during the Unity Candle ceremony, she answered. Stepped to the side near where I was sitting. My phone was still recording. It picked up audio. David presents the phone, already entered as evidence. He plays the audio in court. The courtroom goes completely silent. Sarah's recording is clear, crystal clear. My mother's voice. What? The payment bounced? Well, that's perfect. Let that ungrateful brat suffer. He thought he could humiliate me by not showing up. Now his little trust fund stunt ruins Emma's day. Good. She laughs. Actually laughs. Make sure everyone knows it was his fault. I want him to look like the villain here. The voice continues. No, let it bounce. Brad's father will cover it to save face, and we'll sue Alan for everything. Brad's helping us build the case. That boy is finally useful for something. We'll take his money, take his house, destroy his reputation. He'll never recover, and everyone will think he's the bad guy. It's perfect. The courtroom is dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. The jury looks shocked. Several jurors are staring at my mother. Her face has gone completely white. Emma is staring at the floor. David pauses the recording. Miss Patterson, why are you coming forward with this now? I didn't realize what I'd recorded at first. I sent the video to my friend and didn't think about it. But then, I saw the news coverage about the trial. I heard Alan was being accused of elder abuse. I've known this family for 15 years. I've been to their home. I've seen how Carol treats Alan. Her voice gets stronger. That boy sent his mother money every single month. I know because Carol complained to our prayer group about it. She'd say he sent money but never called, never visited. She made him sound selfish, even while she was spending his money. I couldn't stay silent anymore. This is wrong. David presents more evidence, documents I didn't know we had. Emails from my accountant confirming the property transaction was legitimate, standard procedure, done with full disclosure, more canceled checks, detailed financial records. He calls my old neighbor to the stand, Mrs. Roberts, who lived next to the family home. She testifies about hearing my mother screaming at me during visits. She'd call him worthless, tell him he was a burden. I felt so sorry for that boy. He'd arrive with groceries or paying for repairs, and she'd spend the whole time criticizing him. David presents my high school records, testimony from my old guidance counselor, now retired, who remembered my situation. Alan was a good student despite terrible home circumstances. His mother would come to parent conferences and blame him for his father's death. It was heartbreaking. I documented our conversations about his mental health. The school was concerned. Medical records from when I was 19. Therapy sessions. Notes from a therapist indicating family trauma, emotional abuse, stress, induced health issues, a pattern going back years. The jury is watching all this, with new eyes. The narrative is shifting in real time. David calls Emma back to the stand for additional cross-examination. She looks terrified. He plays Sarah's recording again. "Miss Brennan, did you know your mother was planning to sue your brother before the wedding?" Emma hesitates. Brad mentioned it might be necessary if Alan caused problems. So this lawsuit was planned before the wedding day? As a backup plan, yes. Did you know Alan had given your family $350,000 over 10 years? Emma is silent. "Miss Brennan, you're under oath." "Yes." Her voice is barely a whisper. "I knew. Mom told me not to mention it. She said it would make us look bad in front of Brad's family. She said Alan gave it because he owed us for putting up with him all these years. Did you ever thank him?" Emma breaks down completely. Sobs rack her body. "No. God, no. I never thanked him. I just assumed he had so much money that it didn't matter. Mom said he was selfish for not giving more, for not being around more. I believed everything she said. I always believed her. She's crying so hard she can barely speak. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She made me lie. The restraining order, she coached me. He never threatened me. Not once. She said we needed it to build our case against him. I went along with it. And then I lied to Brad about it. Your fiancé didn't know you lied? He found out later. When we were preparing for trial, he realized the threats I claimed never happened. That's why he won't marry me. Not because of money, because I lied. Because I let Mom manipulate me into destroying my own brother. Brad was disgusted with me, with us. His firm is investigating him now, for helping with a fraudulent case. The courtroom erupts. Their attorney is objecting. The judge calls for order, but the damage is done. Emma's complete breakdown is devastating to their case. The jury sees a manipulative mother and a weak daughter who finally cracked under the weight of lies. David presents more evidence. Documents showing my mother embezzled from my father's business before he died. $65,000. My father had discovered it, filed for divorce. He died in the accident before the divorce was finalized. Police reports from the accident I've never seen. Mother controlled all that information when I was 17. Witness statements suggesting the car might have been tampered with. Investigation was closed due to lack of evidence, but suspicions remained. Brake lines that appeared compromised. David doesn't directly accuse my mother of anything. He doesn't have to. The implications hang in the air. The jury looks at my mother with horror, wondering if she's capable of even worse than what she's already proven. Finally, David drops the last bomb. Brad has been suspended from his law firm, ethics violations. He helped my family build a case, knowing evidence was falsified. He withdrew once he learned Emma lied about the threats, but by then he'd already helped manufacture evidence. The state bar is investigating. His career might be over. Emma, is it true that your relationship with Brad ended because of your lies? Yes. He said he can't trust me. His family won't speak to me. The wedding happened, but we never signed the marriage license. We're not married. I lost him because of what Mom convinced me to do. Full circle. The lawsuit that was supposed to destroy me is destroying them instead. The jury deliberates. I sit in the hallway with David, not daring to hope. Sarah Patterson sits with us. You did the right thing coming forward, I tell her. Someone had to. Your mother has fooled people for too long. She's not the victim she pretends to be. 90 minutes later, the jury returns. We file back into the courtroom. The forewoman stands, reads the verdict. We find in favor of the defendant, Alan Brennan, on all counts. The plaintiff's claims of financial elder abuse, coercion, and fraud are without merit. Furthermore, we find that the plaintiffs committed fraud, perjury, and abuse of process in bringing this lawsuit. We award Alan Brennan $275,000 in damages plus legal fees. The judge adds his own statement. I don't often do this, but the court wishes to note that what happened here represents a serious abuse of the legal system. Miss Brennan and Miss Carol Brennan brought knowingly false claims, presented falsified evidence, and attempted to manipulate this court. The defendant has been put through tremendous hardship based on lies. He looks at my mother. Miss Brennan, I'm ordering a criminal investigation into your conduct during this trial. Perjury is a serious crime. Furthermore, I'm reopening the investigation into your late husband's death. The evidence presented suggests circumstances that warrant review. He orders my mother to vacate the property within 30 days, orders them to pay all my legal fees, orders them to have no contact with me. Then he does something unexpected. He issues a warrant. Miss Carol Brennan, you're being held in contempt of court for perjury committed during these proceedings. Bailiff, take her into custody. My mother is led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. She's screaming. Emma collapses at the plaintiff's table, hysterical. Their attorney looks shell-shocked. David grips my shoulder. We won, Alan. We actually won. I can't process it. Can't feel anything. Just numbness, relief, exhaustion. It's over. 3 months pass. Spring arrives. The world wakes up from winter, and so do I. My mother takes a plea deal. The prosecutor is aggressive, wants to make an example. But mother's attorney negotiates. She's 62, has no prior criminal record. She pleads guilty to perjury and fraud. Gets 3 years probation, $10,000 fine, and is ordered to pay me full restitution. No prison time due to her age and health issues, but the conviction stays on her record. She's also banned from any contact with me. Restraining order, this time in my favor. Emma isn't charged criminally. The prosecutor decides she was manipulated by her mother, that she's a victim too in some ways. But she faces civil penalties for her role in the fraud, and the consequences in her personal life are severe. Brad ends his relationship completely. He won't speak to her. His family considers the whole situation a scandal. Brad loses his law license for 6 months, but keeps his job after promising to complete additional ethics training. He wants nothing to do with Emma, or the mess she brought into his life. Extended family members start reaching out. Uncle Mark calls to apologize. Says he had no idea the full story. Says my mother lied to everyone. I accept his apology, but tell him I'm not interested in rebuilding a relationship. He made his choice when he testified against me based on my mother's lies. Aunt Patricia sends a long letter, explains she feels terrible, says she should have asked more questions. I read the letter once and throw it away. Too little, too late. Cousin Jennifer posts a public apology on social media, admits she was wrong, that she believed lies, that she's sorry. Her post gets a few hundred likes. People commenting about how brave she is for admitting her mistake. I don't respond. She wanted attention when she was attacking me. Now she wants attention for apologizing. I'm done being part of her narrative. With the settlement money and my unfrozen assets, I start rebuilding. I have choices to make. Stay in this city where everyone knows the story, or start fresh somewhere new? I choose fresh. I move to Portland, Oregon, as far from my old life as I can get without leaving the country. I rent a nice apartment overlooking the Willamette River. Not fancy, but clean and safe, and mine. I furnish it slowly, carefully, each piece chosen because I like it, not because it's impressive or expensive. I get a job at a tech security firm. Better position than I had before. The company checked my background, found news articles about the trial, but they also read the outcome. My new boss, Rachel, is understanding. Everyone has a story. What matters is how you handle it. You stood up for yourself against false accusations. That takes strength. We value that here. I start therapy, real therapy, not just crisis management. Dr. Martinez helps me process everything. The years of emotional abuse, the trauma of the trial, the grief of losing my family, even though they were toxic. You can grieve what you wish they had been while still protecting yourself from what they actually are, she tells me. I join a hiking group, make friends who know nothing about my past. People who like me for who I am now, not despite what I've been through. I tell them I'm new to Portland, starting over, and they welcome me. We hike every Saturday. Mount Hood, Columbia River Gorge, the Coast Range. The physical exertion helps. Being outdoors helps. Being around people who have no expectations of me helps. I start dating. Her name is Claire. She's a graphic designer, funny, and kind. We meet at a coffee shop. She spills her latte on my laptop, apologizes profusely, buys me a new drink and a muffin. We end up talking for 2 hours. She makes me laugh for the first time in months. On our third date, I tell her about my family, about the trial, everything. I figure if she's going to run, better to know now. She listens without interrupting. When I finish, she reaches across the table and takes my hand. That sounds incredibly hard. I'm sorry you went through that. But it also sounds like you did everything right. You set boundaries. You protected yourself. You told the truth, even when it cost you everything. That's not weakness, Alan. That's strength. We've been dating for 2 months now. It's early, but it feels right. She's teaching me what healthy relationships look like. Mutual respect, honest communication, supporting each other without keeping score. 6 months after the trial, I get a letter forwarded through David. Emma's handwriting. Long, handwritten pages. I almost throw it away without reading. But something makes me open it. She writes about being in intensive therapy, about realizing she was an enabler to our mother's abuse, about understanding how she benefited from my role as family scapegoat, about the ways she actively participated in hurting me, not just by going along with mother's plans, but by her own choices. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know that I finally see the truth. You were the strongest person in our family, and we punished you for it. You were generous, and we took advantage. You set boundaries, and we attacked you. Everything you did was right, and everything we did was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. I understand if you never want to speak to me again. I just needed you to know that I finally understand what we did to you. I read the letter 3 times. Feel nothing at first. No anger, no sadness, just distance. Then something shifts. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. She's trying to grow. That's something. I write a brief reply through David. I received your letter. I appreciate your apology, and I hope you find peace. But I don't want a relationship. I've moved forward with my life, and I need to keep that boundary for my own health. I wish you well. Goodbye. I send it and feel lighter. Dr. Martinez was right. Forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. I can acknowledge someone's growth without letting them back into my life. I can wish them well from a distance. That's healthy boundary setting, not cruelty. One Saturday morning, I'm sitting on my apartment balcony, coffee in hand, sun rising over the mountains. My phone rings. Tyler, from the hiking group, inviting me to a weekend camping trip. Olympic National Park. 12 people going. I accept immediately. As I hang up, I think about a year ago, sitting in that courthouse, believing I'd lost everything. In some ways, I did lose everything. Career, home, savings, family, all of it gone. But I gained something more valuable. Peace, freedom, self-respect, truth, justice. I gained my life back. Not the life I had before, which was built on trying to earn love from people incapable of giving it, but a new life built on my own terms, with people who value me, with work that fulfills me, with boundaries that protect me. I'm not the same person I was a year ago, that Alan was still hoping his family would change, still believing that if he gave enough, did enough, sacrificed enough, they'd finally see his worth. That Alan was trapped in a cycle of abuse he couldn't recognize. This Alan knows better. This Alan understands that sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you're born into. That blood relation doesn't entitle anyone to abuse you. That walking away from toxicity isn't selfish. It's survival. That real family is chosen, not assigned. I finish my coffee. Look at the mountains in the distance. Think about the weekend camping trip, the hike this afternoon, dinner with Claire tonight. My life is full of things I chose, people who chose me back, experiences that bring joy instead of obligation. The hardest lesson I've learned is that sometimes you have to lose everything to gain yourself. Standing up for yourself costs something. Walking away from family costs something. Setting boundaries costs something. For me, it cost my career, my savings, my home, and a year of hell. But living in chains costs more. Living to serve people who hate you costs more. Accepting abuse because you're afraid of being alone costs more. I paid a high price for my freedom. But freedom, it turns out, is worth everything. I grab my hiking boots, lock my apartment door, head out to meet my friends, people who actually want me around. As I walk down the street, spring sun warm on my face, I realize I'm smiling. Really smiling. The kind of smile that comes from deep inside, from a place of genuine contentment. I'm finally free, and that freedom is worth every single thing I paid for it. People used to tell me that family comes first, that blood is thicker than water, that you should always forgive, but I've learned something different. You don't owe your life to people who make you miserable. You don't owe endless chances to people who never change. You don't owe anything to people who refuse to see your worth. What you owe is this: honesty with yourself about what you can and cannot accept. Courage to walk away when staying means destroying yourself. Compassion for yourself when you're healing from wounds others inflicted. And the wisdom to know that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself. My mother will probably never understand what she did wrong. Emma might grow and change, might spend years unpacking how she enabled abuse. Extended family members will go on with their lives, occasionally thinking about the scandal, but mostly moving forward. That's fine. Their journeys are their own. My journey is mine, and it's just beginning. Not the life I planned, not the family I wanted, but a life built on truth instead of lies, on respect instead of obligation, on joy instead of duty. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. I've learned that you can't change people who don't want to change. You can't earn love from people who don't know how to give it. You can't fix dysfunction that's been decades in the making. But you can change yourself. You can choose differently. You can build something new from the ashes of what burned down. And sometimes, against all odds, truth wins. Not because the world is fair, but because you refuse to stop fighting for it. I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to walk away from toxic family members, even when it cost you everything? How did you find the courage to choose yourself over obligation? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling with the same choice right now. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think about your own boundaries and relationships, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming difficult situations and finding strength you didn't know you had. And share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes knowing you're not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope wherever you are in your own journey, you find the courage to choose peace over chaos, truth over lies, and yourself over people who refuse to value you. You deserve better. We all do. Take care of yourself out there.